My name is William Stankiewicz. I was a vice president of programming for Nickelodeon at the time of the tragic event in 2011. I'm so fucking sorry. I'm not even going to ask you if you've heard of Bad Mouse, because I know you have. That sock puppet that was clearly made with poor quality material. It looks to have been stitched on and placed over other material. That sock puppet that hijacked our children's favorite channels all those years ago and left it in shambles. That sock puppet that was our demise, our very downfall. I know you've heard of it. And I know you've been afraid of it. Look, I didn't want to believe that Bad Mouse was anything more than just some sick person trying to gain attention. I need to tell you all something. I want the whole world to know what Bad Mouse really is, even though it's far too late, and so many of us have already suffered for it, including me. I'm just going to come out and say it. Bad Mouse isn't a person. And no, it's not even truly a puppet. It's sentient. It doesn't have feelings. It doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have any emotions. It's a personification of pure, unadulterated rage and destruction. It's a monster that's trying to annihilate everything and everyone in its path. It did all of this. It was ushered in by some unseen force and unleashed on all of us. No, I am not crazy, nor am I trying to fuck with you. Please, just hear me out. Everyone else is trying to skew the narrative and hide the truth as to who is responsible for this. They're trying to just keep up appearances. I can't take it anymore. No, it is not some random hacker or deranged viewer. It's the reason why everyone was hijacked. The reason why people were killed. The reason why we're all living in fear. It's not some depraved human being with some immature vendetta against us. It's so much worse. Look, the police have finally obtained a lead. Right there on security camera 2AD at 10:55 a.m. at 231 West Olive Avenue, Burbank, California, 91502, exactly 5 minutes before the bombings, just outside the main entrance. We saw him. It was someone walking very purposefully towards the studio. From what we could see, he had wispy brown hair that fell down over his face, and was wearing thick-rimmed nerd glasses and black clothing. Over his shoulder, he was carrying a large duffel bag. Now, obviously, this was our guy, right? We were so happy and relieved to have finally put a face to Bad Mouse. But our brief moment of celebration quickly soured when one of the detectives pointed out they've gone over every second of footage, literally thousands of times, and never saw this man once. Confused, we kept watching as the man walked through the front gate. I don't mean he opened the gate or at least waited for it to open. I mean he literally walked straight through it, as if it wasn't even there. When he slipped through the bars, a white slimy liquid remained on the bars. Like any other establishment as big as Nickelodeon, security guards were outside at all times. But they didn't confront, apprehend, approach, or even register this man's presence at all. When I saw this, my heart began to beat like crazy. What the fuck was this? No matter how hard we tried, we couldn't explain it. The man walked right up to the studio's doors and just stood there for a full minute, not doing anything. I've never seen anyone stand more still than this guy. He didn't even lean a bit, shake, cough, sneeze, or anything. Then he just dropped the bag, literally letting it fall off his shoulder and collide with the ground below, and just walked away, back through the front gate. And of course, then a few minutes later, it happened. We were dumbfounded, just utterly stupefied. Exactly what the fuck was that? Who the fuck was that? Yes, we all had the questions you're probably asking yourself now. No one seemed to have a strong grasp on what to think. I tried bringing up the white goop outside in the front gates, but the police didn't really care about that. They were just happy we'd found the perpetrator. Now that I think of it, I can't exactly blame them for not taking it as seriously as they should have. I didn't want to believe it either. Since every location was bombed twice, they suspected that he showed up earlier than when we actually caught him to place the first bomb. But they couldn't find any footage of it. That wasn't until Disney and Cartoon Network reported the same man purposely approaching their studios. White, slimy liquid being left behind. No one noticing him, and him just dropping duffel bags and leaving. This made no sense. No one could logically explain what was happening. They couldn't even find DNA evidence to try and pinpoint this guy's identity, or even link him to any database. The white liquid? Well, it was completely gone. It was like we've been transported to some insane dimension where we were cut off from reality. Obviously, everyone made their judgments and came to conclusions. The police were determined to capture Bad Mouse, no matter what. It took forever, but they were able to find him. Okay, look, before I describe the events that took place on that night, you need to understand how much money, time, and energy was poured into this pursuit, because it wasn't easy. It took a lot of hard work and detective work to find him. And what I'm about to describe, we're so fucked. I saw the video, a first-person view of the raid on Bad Mouse from the view of a SWAT team member. They found the door embedded in a random field. You could hear the murmurs and chatter of the SWAT team, thinking this was the strangest, most bizarre mission they've ever been on. They did a whole day of surveillance with literally nothing happening. And about 7 p.m., it began. They very silently and very tactically approached the door that lay parallel with the earth. It was rusted, layered in dirt and grime, and when they tried to open it, it wouldn't budge. Physically prying it open revealed white, slimy liquid caking the inside, like a sludge of milk and semen, preventing it from easily opening. The smell was like breathing in pure, unadulterated death. Some of them choked back the urge to vomit. A stairway led down to a seemingly bottomless pit of darkness below, and one by one, they went in, their footsteps making loud squelching and peeling sounds. Their flashlights nestled atop their guns, let them know they were in a space not too dissimilar from a sewer, an enclosed cavity that was covered in white, slimy liquid on the walls, ground everywhere. It dripped from the upper surface onto the men, and down their bodies onto their boots. They cautiously maneuvered into the darkness. None of them knew how far they were supposed to go. Their phones wouldn't work, their radios didn't receive any signals, and they had no idea what fate was to befall them. Eventually, they came across a set of doors that had been welded shut. So they weren't about to just kick them open, no. But they also had an explosive demolition device. They blew it up, and what lay beyond sent them into a fit of nausea. It took them a while to regain their bearings, their eyes watering, their legs turning to jelly. What they found beyond those doors was terrible. It was so terrible. It was a very small, empty space that, like the long carnivorous tunnel they just come from, it wasn't spare from the white liquid covering every single inch of it. Old televisions were littered everywhere, playing nothing but static. Some cords and wires that had frayed and disintegrated around the walls. Finally, a desk with a chair was placed in the middle. Although it was facing away from the men, they could tell someone was sitting in that very chair.
Put your hands up!
The leader in front yelled. No response.
Put your goddamn hands up now, you son of a bitch!
The guy who was recording shouted. Still nothing. They got closer and closer, and as they did, the leader grabbed the chair and swiveled it around. Quickly, he backed up. Slowly, the chair turned to reveal what should have been the man, the bomber, Bad Mouse, but one look told the SWAT team that something was very, very wrong. Hollow. That was the best way to describe it. Flat skin, no bones, no muscles to speak of, a naturally pale skin, completely naked, sunken features, bleached white hair, dark veins all over its body, the white liquid dripping from every orifice onto the ground. It didn't move, it didn't pulse or quiver or twitch, just a flesh blanket draped over an internal void, a mindless husk, a fucking meat sack.
What the fuck?
The guy recording whispered to himself. Before he could mutter something else, the faint sound of wet, sloppy chewing could be heard from somewhere. Very noticeably frightened, the men tried to locate the source of the new noise. They turned to their left. Nothing, and then they turned to their right. At first, they couldn't even comprehend exactly what they were looking at, and neither could I. It looked like some sort of a mouse, but it wasn't a normal one, no. Not one bit. It looked exactly like the puppet we've all learned to hate. I say almost for a reason, because this thing was not a fucking puppet. At least not anymore. Part of it seemed organic, and the other part of it seemed handcrafted. Meat, fur and flesh mixed with paper and glue. It was as white as snow, remarkably clean considering the circumstances, and stood at about a foot tall. It was eating something indiscernible, biting and ripping chunks off of it. A gray tail swung behind it. The SWAT team weren't exactly sure what to do next. They looked at it for a moment, staring in absolute horror at this thing that may or may not have been Bad Mouse, that was eating something, but they weren't able to even speculate that. The leader raised his pistol in the air, ready to shoot at the monster. I don't know.
Bad Mouse?
Suddenly, the thing stopped chewing. It stared at him, the white liquid leaking out of its mouth. The leader took a step forward, trying to be as quiet as possible. Bad Mouse dropped whatever it was eating, which fell to the floor with a loud thud. It rolled on the ground right to the leader's feet. A bit of the meaty flesh stuck to his shoe.
What the fuck are you?
Initially, there was no response. The silence was deafening. The leader was about to turn back to his team when the thing finally spoke in an oh-so-familiar voice.
Hi, guys. It's me, Bad Mouse.
That fucking voice. It was the same exact one from when we got those damn packages all the way back in 2009. Every single tape started like that. Hello, guys. It's me, Bad Mouse. The SWAT team was absolutely terrified, and so was I. No one said anything. Slowly, Bad Mouse started walking towards them in this strange mouse-like gait. It left harsh footprints in the white liquid and reached out its arms.
I'm gonna be teaching you all about...
The men began to get tense, backing up in fright.
Stay back!
The leader yelled, and it was he who, in a moment of horrible desperation, let out a single shot from his pistol. A burst of light shone from the chamber, but the shot didn't exactly land. Well, it did, but it didn't hurt Bad Mouse. It just made the thing stop in its tracks. The bullet slid out and fell to the ground, covered in the white liquid as it began to melt. Bad Mouse's paper flesh began to fix and reattach itself where the bullet had connected. Horrified, the leader didn't even bother trying to shoot it more. He knew exactly what would happen. Instead, he silently gave the orders to abandon the mission. In any other scenario, that would be preposterous. Abandoning a mission was against everything they stood for, but for this, it was absolutely warranted. But when the leader turned around to give one final order, all hell suddenly broke loose. Out of nowhere, Bad Mouse launched itself at him with a horrific high-pitched shriek, attaching itself to the leader's helmet. The SWAT team went from terrified to downright livid, raising their guns and trying to take aim at the bizarre monstrosity. The leader screamed in absolute terror as Bad Mouse broke open his helmet. Everyone watched in disgust and shock as it began to crawl and wriggle its way down the leader's throat. He gagged, coughed, spat, but couldn't seem to get Bad Mouse out. Blood and mucus began to trickle from his nose and mouth, which was soon accompanied by the white liquid pouring out in gallons. The rest of the SWAT team could see Bad Mouse's outline as it clawed down and down into the leader's stomach. Suddenly, the leader's breathing stopped, and he fell back with a loud bang. Silence. And then it exploded out the leader's stomach, shooting blood and meat everywhere. Flying through the air, it tried to attach itself to another member. The SWAT team opened fire. Splitting the thing in half was a very good shot. It didn't do too much damage, and while it left trails of the white liquid all around them, it split Bad Mouse in half. Wailing in pain, Bad Mouse crawled very quickly over to the hollow body sitting on the chair. It clawed its way up to the mouth, pried it open, and crawled its way inside. The once hollow body began convulsing, spasming, and flailing about as it began to gain its insides back as if inflating a balloon. With blood and meat and guts and bile covering it, the hollowed man stood back up, its body now full to the brim, with flesh, skin, muscles, and organs. It stood up and gave a slow, sickening grin. No emotion or thought behind it. What followed next was just... I've never seen such pure chaos. Mayhem, pandemonium, all of that. I'm not going to describe exactly what I saw. Just from that description, you can imagine exactly what was going on. My throat felt like it was going to burst. I was having trouble keeping it all in. And yeah, I vomited. My heart was absolutely broken for them. The guy recording was long dead at this point, torn apart into a million pieces and forced down Bad Mouse's gullet. His camera kept recording, static overcoming the feed, as the last man alive tried desperately to escape that wicked place. Bad Mouse pounced on top of him, ripping and biting into his flesh, eating him alive. His screams died out, and then there was nothing. Just silence. Everything was devoid of existence. There was nothing but death. Bad Mouse stood back up, remaining where it was for a good long time. The video feed waved and jittered, lagging as Bad Mouse slowly turned around and began stepping towards the camera. It picked the camera up, holding it right up to its face, staring right at us. I saw one of its eyes beginning to leak off its face. It simply wiped it away, letting it fall off its gangly fingers onto the ground. Then it spoke, right to us. In that fucking voice I've become so accustomed to.
You are all part of me. Every channel, everyone in front of this screen is part of my broadcast. All of you, my victims, I'm gonna torture every one of you for eternity. I'm gonna do everything to torment you until the end of time. There will be no end.
The video abruptly cut off, as if someone finally ripped it from the recording device. As it stands, all those men are dead. Every single one of them. They were never found. Their bodies were never recovered. Even the place where Bad Mouse was found, it's nowhere to be found. It's like it's just gone. Poof, vanished. I tried to figure out what this thing was. What this monster was, if it's human, an alien, a demented god. But there's just nothing. I can't even say what this is, what Bad Mouse is, and what it's capable of. Like everyone else, I wanted to believe it was just a deranged human that was able to make a disturbing and bizarre puppet. That's what I wanted to believe in, because I thought if we found that guy, He'd be the answer to everything. We were going to capture this guy and lock him up in a padded cell. And then we were just going to forget about Bad Mouse. We were going to erase him from history. But what we know now, we're so very wrong. What happened at that place? If anyone has any answers for me, I'm desperate for answers. I have a whole lot of questions. I'm just so angry, frightened. The world isn't right. Nothing's right. Something just so wrong. Look, I know we're the bad guys for not telling everyone the truth. Everyone's made that very clear to me. But all of you witch hunters out there, what would you have done in our position? None of you would have believed us, so what's the point? This is a warning on my part. Expand your mind. Or you can just keep believing whatever you want to believe, your cynical, short-ordered view of reality. See where that gets you. Because I gotta tell you, between you and me, when we first saw the Hollow Man plant the first bomb, I swear, for a brief second, I saw his face morph into that of a mouse. And after that, I never looked back.